Cold calling is one of the most challenging parts about sales. Most of the time, prospects have no idea who you are, your company, or your solution. This is why so many think cold calling is dead. The reality is that it does work when you know what you're doing. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can start your own cold calls. I'll show the exact methodology I use to book meetings and close deals that range from 10K to multiple seven figures on multi-year contracts. So the first thing I understand is that when you're outbounding, it starts with building a good list to call off of. This should be a hyper-targeted list of your ideal customer profile. That's similar roles, responsibilities, industries, organization size, use cases, etc. This leads to a higher likelihood of success by simply having the right list, whether your company buys data or you build a list yourself using tools like Sales Navigator. And depending on the volume calls you're going for, I always recommend coming prepared with some research and notes so you're also not calling blind. And if you're an enterprise rep, you definitely need to prepare as your calls will usually be a lot smaller. So after you have the prep work done, now let's talk about what happens during your actual call block session. So number 2, the opener. This is the first 5 seconds of the call once the decision maker answers. It's very important that once they answer, you're establishing yourself as someone of equal status or someone of value. Now, I'll share with you what to say in a second, but how you say it is even more important. You want to sound confident, in control, and friendly. What you don't want to sound like is desperate or needy. Now, you can say what you want, but here's what I personally like to say. Hey Alice, it's Marcus with Venly. Thanks for taking my call. That's it. Note a few things. 1, I'm stating their name clearly so they know it's for them. 2, I say who I am and who I'm with. They're already wondering this, so just tell them up front. 3, I don't like to say, how are you? Because personally, I find it very disingenuous, as they usually give a superficial answer anyways, as they're wondering, why are you calling me? So instead, I replace it with, thanks for taking my call, and then we'll go into the next phase. It's really simple, has worked for me. Now, potentially you might want to take that line out as well, which is totally fine too. Now we go to number 3, the purpose of the call. So the reality is that most prospects are busy and are still wondering why you're calling or expect you to try to sell a product or service to them over the phone. So my personal preference is to be very direct and tell them why I'm calling and go for the ask. And that sounds something like this. The reason I'm reaching out is because I listened to your Q4 earnings call and saw that you were aiming for a 10% top line sales growth while maintaining 30% margins through this upcoming fiscal year. I'm actually currently working the sales orgs over at Stripe, ZoomInfo, and HubSpot to help their teams blow their sales targets out as well. We potentially may be able to help your org as well. Do you have some time to discuss this Thursday at 3? Now, a few things to note here. I've clearly done my homework. The chances are good they are a relatively qualified prospect. And because I've done my homework, I can reference very specific things to them, like what I covered on their earnings call. This positions me differently than most average reps who do zero homework. And since I did my homework, I can tie it directly to their biggest initiatives for the year for the whole org and not just a singular department as well. Now, also note, I'm going right for the ask of time to talk. This is going to be contrary to what most people try to do. Most try to have a 5 to 10 minute main discovery call on the spot. But really think about this. If someone cold called you out of the blue while you're in the middle of something, do you really have the time or even the focus to have that conversation? Most don't. So instead, I found it makes much more sense to book a time that can be 100% focused on the conversation, which also allows me to have depth as well. Now again, note, I'm calling a hyper-target list of prospects that are most likely to be qualified. If it's a blanket general list, you'll definitely need to add a few qualifying questions after you secure date and time. So let's put it all together. Hey Alice, it's Marcus with Venly. Thanks for taking my call. The prospect. Sure. What's this all about? Hey, the reason I'm reaching out is because I listened to your Q4 earnings call and saw you were aiming for a 10% top line sales growth while maintaining 30% margin through this upcoming fiscal year. I'm actually currently working the sales orgs over at Stripe, ZoomInfo, and HubSpot to help their sales teams blow their targets out of the water with a comprehensive training solution. We potentially may be able to help your org too. Do you have some time to discuss in more detail this Thursday at 3? So you can see it comes off very smooth, confident, professional, direct, and it's like less than 1 minute and you're getting right to the point. So the next phase is that you're usually going to get objections, because regardless of how great you are or how well you say it, how short and efficient it is, you're still going to have objections, which is 100% normal. And as long as you know how to handle them, you'll have a really high booking rate. So that's it. That's the basic, simple framework. It's the same one I've used to book thousands of meetings even through the last recession. It's the same framework that I've trained and taught to thousands of salespeople across dozens of industries to use to get insane results as well. You can use it and change things to fit your specific product or service. And because I'm simply leveraging basic fundamental human psychology, it works in pretty much every industry as long as you execute it well with the right tone and attitude. Now, if you'd like to learn how to overcome any phone objection, which is really important, check out this next video right here where I coach a rep live on his cold calling and objection handling. See you in the next video right here.